Have you used them films that your dad got you, Pete?
Sold.
Sold.
Hey?
And you've had to go and buy some full whack.
Oh, they were fine. I get stuff from home. I don't know.
It is. Last year was there. Over 2 years ago.
No, I follow you around. Yeah? What do you think?
We haven't put any extra guns on this thing yet.
It's a jockey, yeah?
Plain stuff, it's engines.
Been there some time.
Yeah. Where did they start? Yeah. Parce que j'aime beaucoup ce qui est pas. Tout le monde calme.
Roger, Hawkeye.
Set back each one of those. When it's half one. That should be playing
Roger, Are you still in area 7?
We're on taxi. Sergeant's getting you there, or...
Hold display 556, just passed from me.
Oh yeah, it's under the beat.
556, Roger. Standard routing and...
Bashing them in.
What, we lost the boat?
Over Woking at 2300 on the information service, QH 1024, coordination squawk 024, 15 VFR and squawk 0424, Golf November, no traffic. Inside 1275.
But no, it's all that way. It's close to 5.
Display 563, fleet on. 563, Roger, the traffic is by Frimley, ready to draw 20 points and invert to the pad. Okay, remain this big display 563. 3, Roger, standard routing to the threshold of 11, flight to it'll be spot 1. Spot 1 to the right. Display 516, fleet bomb dispatch. 516, Roger, continue your number 4 and you'll be on the shuttle spot. 516, Roger, 516, if you park, 56, Roger.
Yes. He's not.
The shuttle spot. If you'd like to move... November, I've been advised that not all your passengers are here. I can leave you there if you wish, and we'll bring the passengers out to you if you wish to close down again.
Yeah.
No, Ty, cleared back across the airfield. Okay. 9. Was it on again? On the local flag.
Jobs. I noticed that with the southeast of they don't have
Miles to run to your overhead. Stop Papa Oscar.
Is that in your book, Robert? This one?
No, I didn't think it is.
Zero.
No, no one's going to drive anymore. This is
And that's probably probably the machine gun for
Unusual in such a small point.
Blackbush inbound to Newman Airport. Surface wind is not. Papa is going to... Contact radar 135.75. What's it do?
Closed them one at a time. They took every technology. So you get to a whole point. We are now 2 generations.
Full force, clock 2402.
This kind of just look at their skills. Yeah, look at
Into your parking area and then unloading. You can close down there. Roger, I'll do the bar before closing down.
But it costs a lot of money.
That's a lot of tongue.
Don't fly very well.
Yes, thank you.
Roger, you said straight to the landing spot and none unloaded. This wind is northerly, but
Times out of 10. That's really just what makes people so annoying.
Someone who's privately zoning it.
For a farmer.
But
But
wonderful.
But he's not an idiot. He's actually leased it back through. Yeah, I think it was, he called it Southern Air Charters.
Yeah. It's, I mean, you can do that with...
Thank you very nice. This is Julia. This is Julia.
Anticipating the it is waiting for you, sir. The marshal out waiting for you, so the lady won't have to walk too far. Oh, there's that, there's three of them. Ah, roger.
The ambulance one.
You haven't got any blades on it. No. Couldn't go very far,
This one as well? Yes? I'm going to get it now.
stand selling Farnbourough souvenirs at the bottom of Beaufort's Road. That's the main road coming down the hill. It's just diagonally across at the bottom of the hill from the British Aerospace Theme Park, British Aerospace Military Theme Park. You can buy the airshow video there. You can also buy a complete history of all the Farnbourough shows. Operating the helicopter, of course. Gives you much better one-engine out performance and increased safety margin. It already is the best in the industry, says Sikorsky. It gives you additional cruise performance, it gives you increased takeoff power. And more than that, it gives you a lower specific fuel consumption. That's a magic word these days. Now we come back to a small, light aircraft, fixed-wing aircraft, changed from what we just had. Try to take off and hold. Flown by Monsieur Fogo from Socata. Going back to an airborne start shortly. Lining up now behind him for takeoff when the runway becomes available is the next flying item. This is the Chichester Miles Leopard. Very exciting new British aeroplane with very remarkable parameters. 4-seat light business aircraft. Anticipating that the Lancaster will be back after that single pass. If it does, if they've cared to do that, no one's told us actually, so much the better. But that may be your only chance to get a photo. Well, if so, whose dream it is that's come true? We started Donald Douglas Notar helicopter taking off the clear, come back in for a running start to begin the show. 131-inch side-loading freight doors and capable of carrying up to 64 paratroops, or being used for routine military communications, casevac, and vehicle transport. Looking at the potential of being a tanker vessel like refuel. Now displaying for the first time in Britain the use of the aircraft dropping parachute. As several people have found, the advantage, you can operate freight services round the clock. You can get schedules during the quiet hours of airports with this aircraft that no other aeroplane could even contemplate. The lowest noise signature of any four-engined airliner or jet airliner. It's one of the keys to its great popularity. Program of display aircraft having E3A Sentry, the AWACS aircraft, and that's going to be accompanied by the Royal Air Force Shackleton. Yes, here indeed comes the AWACS. This is the Royal Air Force AW1 Sentry, being flown by Mr. J. White of Boeing International. Shackleton went into service some years before my colleague here was born. Nice to have the two aircraft going through together. Capable of, and these are designed to show that everything a conventional helicopter can do, the no-tie helicopter can do just as well. And in many cases, in fact, they're finding out in the test flying they're doing that it will do it a great deal better. According to the board, very fast flying. The whole fleet of the fan halfway down that rear tail will pressurize the architectural fluid, and the jet of air coming out the front, louvers on one side, that has an anti-torque control. Rotor spinning above single rotor helicopter is producing tremendous sideways thrust. Great torque tends to push the helicopter around in the opposite direction. And you need some kind of thrust to counteract that. It's much simpler, a neater way of doing it than by using the tail rotor. Considerably less susceptible to accidental or battle damage. The actual process of controlling the helicopter, spinning it round from side to side, as the pilot is just doing, is carried out by side thrusters, same jet of air, and they're controlled from the conventional anti-torque pedals in the cockpit. one example. It's capable of accepting up to 3.8 Gs or minus 1.2 G. Tolerate that without a loss of structural integrity, which I take it to mean without this coming off. And the commercial certification system is plus 3.5 to minus 0.5. Presumably all it would normally be. Down to low level now, demonstrating various maneuvers. Difficult upward and rearward flight. See now, our system is due to considerable power as the engine is 450 horsepower. Now we turn our attention from Notar, look up to the north and Firefly that we've just seen. This is the Namco, the Eaglet. Side by side, like the automatic trainer and club aircraft, one or two pilots. Cruises of 300 knots. 210 knots. Perhaps you flew this earlier in the week, didn't you? You've flown turboprops professionally on flight by Brooklands, and been presented here by Lovo, a part of SLS Aerospace, a major aerospace company, series of companies. They've undertaken development of the Optica, backed it with a massive marketing study, and see a potential sale of 100 aircraft a year for Optica. Assessment now. They're setting out a program to take it through final certification and on into voluntary production. Very good news. The certificate was needed at this stage by Optica. It meets a proven requirement designed for low-cost surveillance platform, either visual or video or camera or whatever. Ours is remarkable. And the low operating costs still the maneuverability of a helicopter and the mounting and power unit. That shows the tail unit, of course, to carry the tail clear of the engine mounting and the propeller. Combination that gives low vibration and low noise. With a mixing endurance of up to 8 hours, you're carrying cameras. The lack of noise and lack of vibration are absolutely essential. It's already in use by British police forces for surveillance work. Helicopter-type duties, of course, it would do pretty well. Power line survey and pipeline survey around the country. Looking monumentally on traffic control, traffic observation around the airfield. Successful, enlivened by the personal comments by the police officer on board of the way in which his colleagues on the ground were handling the situation, or not, in the case may be. Now we come to helicopters. Western reputation of the Western EH-101. This is the 8 out of 9 pre-production aircraft. The flying debut at Farnbourough. This is the passenger carrying version, which is known as the Heliliner. The cockpit off the oil springs. Flying oil rigs, personnel. First time that 3 major variants on a helicopter. Sentimental rotor program blades developed over the last 2 years by Western give a very low noise signal. the Black Hawk. This is the Black Hawk demonstrator. It's carrying a long line military vehicle with a very large machine gun on it. It's a vehicle in use by the British Armed Forces at the moment. Carrying it slung from the cargo hook, which will carry up to 8,000 pound weight. The aircraft built at Westlands, first through in April 1970, being used for development and demonstration then on very hard programs. This is the latest example of a long collaboration between Westland and Sikorsky in America. Over 1,200 of the American helicopters, American Black Hawks, are in service. The camouflage is not, I think, significant. The General Electric T700 engine and the upgraded version gives a much better performance, particularly with hot and high. Cruise is at 145, dash speed is 165. Very maneuverable. It has low noise, it has a very radar cross-section, a low engine exhaust signature, and it's fitted with infrared suppression, so that it's a difficult helicopter to pick out of the environment and to kill. Get down to the Decor, Princess, you're a difficult target. It's resistant to small arms fire, it can absorb a lot of damage from medium machine guns, high explosive rounds. It's been designed for that captive Mark III from 815 Naval Air Squadron, British Turboprop airliner, ATR 72, coming on the top for Radio now, ATR 72. The configuration that is a fairly light configuration that you can adopt for demonstration. It leaps very smartly into the air, but it's a good indication of the performance that you will get in short takeoff and steep climb, even under normal conditions full with fuel and passengers. Well, as far as I know, by Bob Rio, the chief test pilot, and away. Nearly 2,500 shaft horsepower each. Based on the successful ATR 42, smaller 45 passenger airliner. The fuselage, a stretched version of the earlier aircraft. The wing, an entirely new wing. It's 8 foot bigger span than the 42. And it's the first airliner to feature a carbon fiber wing box and composites in the outer wings. In Italy, responsible for the original design. He turns away, you can see the sponsons, bulges under the fuselage containing the undercarriage, keeping the undercarriage out of the cabin area, clear run through in the cabin. Just under 200 of all that have been delivered at the end of August to 36 operators. Thank you very much, John. We spent all week complaining how the weather opens just in time for the red arrows. Quite right, it's going to do it again. Just some 96% of the available power, which is quite deliberate, so that 4 and 5 with full power to catch them up very quickly by the end of the runway and join up to form the front end of the diamond formation. Once down at the back, as the engines come up to full power now, red 6 leads the rear section of 4. Some of my colleagues bring the aircraft safely back to the ground. I thank you very much on their behalf for your kind attention to the course displayed with clearance or sea level. There's no problem with that at all. And you can see some of my colleagues passing out onto the airfield just in piloted by normal Scotland with my full still check-in, but noisy hover. The finale will be 6 aircraft all in the hover together, so I hope you all brought your earplugs. The manoeuvres you're going to see are not so gimmicks, but have operational reasons. Now, since the red arrows are just cleared, so I'll tell you what you're going to see now. You've got 1 aircraft on the very boring runway. You've got, to the left, 1 aircraft on a tin. mix of wing lift and engine lift. 100. Water to be lifted by aircraft at 4,000, helicopters at 4,500. Or 100 for instance, using runway, Royal Air Force Tornado, GR1. Bi-national program. And 7 squadrons in Germany, 3 at Rügen, 4 at Farnbourough. Now, as Tornado comes back into land, I will hand the microphone back to Simon Mead. En route, I believe, to a new job. Just a small delightful job. Small delightful job with the arrows. In the meantime, talking about the arrows. Simon. Thank you. Just a quick rundown on the history of the squadron. Number 1 squadron was actually formed in 1878 as number 1 balloon company of the Royal Engineers, which makes it the oldest flying squadron in the world. In the Falklands conflict in 1982. Of course, some statistics while the guys run in here. The aircraft uses the uprated demonstration. Now the aircraft on the third will perform a short takeoff and establish itself in the harbour. 31, and behind that, the 146-200. When it's taken off, the jet stream will display, the 146 will clear, and return with the ATP to do a demonstration. And then after that, we will have British Airspace 125. And today, it will be 125-800. We've had the first of the 1000s displaying earlier in the week. Today we have the 800, current production aircraft. There is a mock-up of the fuselage of the 1000. Thursday of this week with their first aircraft. For that, the 43rd operator, the beginning of Farnbourough week on the 2nd of September, was Mako Airline. Launch customer in England was Jan Air. 30,000 RPM output of the turbine through the gearbox down to the propeller at just over 1,000 RPM. The propellers nearly 5. Aircraft in the North American market. Originally, the Hamilton is a high-speed line transport that made it very attractive for government and military sources for communications work. And in fact, 16 countries are operating the aircraft in that role, either the government and or military operating by the Royal Air Force as a navigation trainer. They have 20 of them called the Domini. This aircraft, the one designated C-29A by the United States some 5 minutes time. Airliner started. Does it not? Flown by T.R. Sadesky and T.A. Bahrain, Georgia test pilot. Already remarkable performance.
Running on time, QNH 1225.
Time and rubber on the undercarriage and takes off and flies down the runway rather than capture the full length. And in the center, behind the engine, the fan duct into the flight which it's the first production aircraft to make use of prop fan technology. Because of its modular construction, it's very easy to maintain. Companies specialized for many years in PFRP products. They build wings and fighter-like approach to the target. You can see now those big air brakes out on the cheeks of the fan shroud. They're out fairly high and then just let the speed settle back till it brings her down. Lufthansa have also ordered the translator. They use it as their Bremen flying training center. That is our first airliner utilization. And aerobatics. And taking off now simultaneously. Rolls-Royce Gem 1004 turbo shafts, 915 shaft horsepower. Same engines that drive the Lynx helicopter we've already seen. One feature of the Gem is that it's produced and also holds a 50% holding. Division builds the Fiat Marchetti SF260, also left from the Agusta. The Agusta 129, we go to the Agusta Fiat Marchetti 211. For armament, up to 1,500 pounds. It's serviced with the Singapore, the Republic of Singapore Airport. Pressurized and air conditioned, and it has Marty Baker Mark 1000 seats. The visual vertical stagger. Coming out now onto the runway, the first of a presentation of 3 aircraft from Dassault Aviation. The Alpha Jet 2, the single seat, and the 2-seat Mirage 2000. All these aircraft, earlier versions have been seen before at Farnbourough. They produce a spectacular display, the 2 Mirage 2000, certainly one of the highlights of the aircraft presented by Dassault test pilots, Jean Frémont in the Alpha Jet. Refueling and such things, time wasted as well. Produces some 10 tons of thrust, giving the aircraft a dash speed over short distances of Castle in previous years. East 12 with Jordan. Good low landing speed and a fairly shallow angle of attack. Final advantages of the combination of a delta and fly-by-wire. Our personal message while we have a moment for Mrs. Emma Vivian. Mrs. Emma Vivian, would you please contact the SBAC site office in Zero, the entrance in Zero. Contact any police officer for directions if you don't know where it is. So Mrs. Emma Vivian, please go to the site office. Between two fighters. This is the Pilatus PC-9, Switzerland. The tandem, two-seat, basic and advanced trainer. Has a Pratt & Whitney Canada PT-68 turboprop. Got weight under 5,000 pounds, so that's a lot of power for the aircraft. Flown by Hans Galley. Before they are ferried out to Saudi. Shows they're having an agreement for marketing and developing the PC-9 with Pilatus. Biggest customer so far for the aircraft is Australia. Single-seat multi-row fighter. This one an F-16A of the Royal. Tailored into the design, and all the controls configured for what they call an eyes out of the cockpit operation. Radar, head-up displays and pilot controls, enabling him to concentrate on the situation outside the aircraft. General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcon with a full cooperative contribution from McDonnell Douglas. They build the work. This is the Lake Renegade, the Turbo 270 Renegade, the high-powered version of the aircraft, being flown by Carroll Waterpark of CSE Aviation up at Oxford Airport at Kidlington. The agents over here for the base. Arrived from the earlier 4-seat Lake LA-4 200, of which something like 1,200 were sold, mostly in the States. Fighters were capable of doing enormous jumps into the air and claiming altitude records, but they were operating on a parabola. They were practically a missile, and they were quite incapable of staying at that height. So in order to bring things back to a more practical basis, the FAI introduced altitude as horizontal flight, which was the highest you could take an aeroplane and still pose it about the sky, like for real. While the other was fun with records. Another new shape in the sky, it found a new shape in the This is from Embraer of Brazil. It's a joint production with Farnbourough, the Argentine. You'll see a purely Argentine aircraft, the Pampa, later in the program. This is a light regional airliner and corporate transport. It's intended largely to replace the Embraer Bandeirante twin turboprop, which has seen considerable successful service. It's very neat, Italian aeroplane. Max cruise over 400 miles an hour. 19 passengers maximum range. At cruise speeds with full reserves, 690 odd miles. Mounted well aft, give a very quiet ride inside and outside. 72 decibels at the front end, 76 at the back end, compared to 82, for instance, in the Brasilia. Cooperative production between Embraer in Brazil and Farnbourough in Argentina. The CBA in its name, the CBA 123, which stands for Cooperation Brazil. Making its world debut here at Farnbourough. Very rapid series available. Forward-looking infrared or laser spot tracker and strike cameras. Hornet unique in having a false cockpit painted underneath the nose to confuse its opponents. Whether it ever would, I don't know. The aircraft which has replaced the Skyhawk with the United States Navy's display team, the Blue Angels. Canadian Armed Forces selected the CFA-CAAT, or the CFA back in 1980, ordered nearly 140. It's also used by the Spanish Air Force. Next aircraft taking off now, making considerably less fuss about it than the previous one. This particular version is being presented by Alitalia, and it is the subject of the conversion of the engines by a Texas firm called D. Howard, and it's showing off today the Rolls-Royce Tay engine. Retrofit available to any of these aircraft. Very, very quiet. 010 signals. Plenty will go in strength, provide all the fuel systems on this aircraft. The Tay is already in service on the Gulfstream 4 with operators of business and corporate aircraft, and with airlines in the Fokker 100, which has the reputation of being the quietest aircraft in its class commercially. This is an easy retrofit to make, gives you low ownership cost. It's as quiet as a new aircraft, and it significantly increases your resale value. It's operating well within the new choice. Much more. they're not any quieter. They give you 17% reduction in fuel burn, 20% increase in range, and 32% reduction in time to fly. Some idea of the impressive performance increases you get by putting those engines in. Yevgeny Fronov, a company test pilot who's been flying the aeroplane brilliantly all week. The UB is the two-seat trainer version of an all-weather supersonic air superiority fighter. Very professionally displayed. Favorite tail slide. There he comes down out of it. So that cloud moves, we can see absolutely nothing. Yevgeny has been giving us brilliant cobras all through the week. Got his back recovered in a totally different manner to the previous days. possibly slightly thoughtful, Mr. Frolov, bringing the aeroplane back. A huge dorsal spine speed brake deployed. Big antenna, radar dish under that nose, nearly 3'6" in diameter. Well, that's the large component of the current Soviet fighter capability. The Sukhoi Su-27 flanker. Meters and nearly 40,000 feet in nearly 5 seconds under a minute. The figure that it is staggering. And this is Roman Tasque in the MiG-29. Very much smaller, very much lighter, a bit lighter anyway, than the big Sukhoi. Again, a single-seat, twin-engined air superiority fighter. This particular one, the two-seater you're seeing today, the 29UB, Dana version. £18,300 of thrust each side from the Tumansky turbofans. That is a peach. That is a lovely tail stride. I agree with that description. Just over 37 feet. Take off in under 800 feet. Take off run. Going into his high alpha run. This is particularly creditable with no computer to help you if you overcook it. The F-16, the Sukhoi 27 equivalent of the big McDonnell Douglas Eagle. This equates with the F-16. Good thrust to weight ratio, good climb and acceleration, very agile, quite small and quite light. And he was dead right, he's not competing with the Su-27. Now we come to the last but one, or the last but two. He's getting motoring again today. Yes, we're getting all the Soviet aircraft today. We're doing very well. There we go. Up to another 1.5 rolls, or 1.5. There is another vertical pull-up, rolling pull-up there to a stall turn, check inverted, pulling round, coming back into level. To trike. This is built by the same people that built the aeroplane following it. And Antonov Design Bureau might reasonably claim to build perhaps the smallest and the lightest and the largest and the heaviest aeroplanes in the world. Certainly, they've got that distinction at the display. The pilots of this aircraft are Sergei Marchevsky and Alexander Piccolo, and I don't know which of them is in charge today, to be honest. I have a very interesting brochure for this aeroplane. The pilots are sitting on that sort of basic triangular structure, side by side, on what I would consider rather basic seats. My brochure says it provides unequal comfort for pilot and passengers sitting side by side. I dare say it's claimed to be a useful aeroplane for photography, films or video, for hunting and parachuting. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone parachuting from a microlight. It raises interesting thoughts. I know a young lady who descends from a balloon with a microlight, which was originally an experiment for methods. They also use them, as indeed they're used in other countries as well, for very small volume, highly concentrated aerial crop dusting, delivering top dressings and so on. Flights now occupy our attention while the Antonov spends what is a total from the word go in the cockpit of 8 minutes tidying up, doing checklists and spooling up for takeoff. Takes about 4 minutes on the runway. Sheer size, bulk of this aircraft make it very difficult to grasp. The outside engines are over the runway edge. They're raising dust off the grass immediately beneath them. That one was 160 feet wide. For a low-cost unmanned satellite launcher. After its possibilities for lifting multi-loads, which is going to be carried on its back. Those big bearings are intended to attach the line on one of the legs to the top of the line. There's room for the relief crew. There's room on the upper floor cabin for 60 to 70 people. developed out of the four-engine Avtono An222, the Ruslan. Took 3.5 years to complete the program. Produced extremely simply. An extra wing bay was added on board of each side, carrying an extra engine. Engines of the same as well as the Ruslan. Or the same as 18 tornadoes on afterburner. And it's an enormously exciting sight in the sky to me. Max cruise 528 miles an hour, normal cruise about 430. Here down now, metallic conventional construction, carbon fiber and glass fiber is confined to things like undercarriage doors and fairings and cowlings. Range is nearly 3,000 miles with 200 tons payload. The weight's unbelievable. It weighs 600 tons, all up weight. It's the first aircraft in the world to exceed 1 million pounds in weight. There's something worth coming in to see. A few ruffles on the tires. Bad weather routine, but not a bit. No, so that's my full display. Counter that in 5 minutes. Inside, there are 3 travelling cranes in the roof of the hold. All 5 tonners, and the centre one capable of lifting 4 tons. Takeoff distance carrying Buran is under 10,000 feet. Vast flaps extending with most of the distance out along the span. Spoilers outboard of them. Avtono An222 for 2 minutes. Okay. Soviets have a lot of experience of carrying external loads on aircraft, but I think people who have been doing it regularly. Before this kind of thing came along, the wings for the Ruslan. The bicycle was used to lift Buran, though that had to be dismantled as it was only lifted a bit at a time. Very impressive in 6 engines. Unusual sight. Well, we've had 2 10-engined aircraft, of course, at Farnbourough in the past. I'll tell you what they are. You can go down to Midland counties and buy the book and look for yourselves. For the sake of the program, I hope this is a final full stop and not a touch and go. transportation. The leading aircraft is the... It's got very high today, taking full advantage of the cloud base. He's come down to his operating height. The engine is the Rolls-Royce Viper, 4,500 pounds of thrust, which makes a bit more noise as he departs than the other aircraft. 4,000 pound thrust in this Mark 632 in fact. And that too is actually built under license in Romania. Simple, straightforward, conventional aircraft, no speed back. Now, I don't know whether that is going to be the case today, whether that was their standard program or a reduced one. So you may not get more than one chance to photograph the land. Gently away from us into the sunset, very nostalgic. And Nicholson, BC, the only Victoria Cross in Flight Command of the Second World War, gained in the Battle of Britain. Side running in, the most extraordinary formation flight you can imagine. The Mark 19 Spitfire, India pilot, the Battle of is Spitfire 19 in the PIU markings of 11 Squadron, Southeast Asia Command. Red Grundy flying, boosting the Spitfire's altitude up to 40,000 feet. There's a remarkable break. In shape, the most rich. Sadly only lived long enough just to see the prototype fly. Spitfires, and Americans as well as by the British. Many years ago, in the 1950s, when the DH-110 broke up, Derry and his navigator Richards, sharp turn onto the line, and rolling out, up to the vertical. Back into land. A chance to inspect one of these aircraft on the micro-lease stand in the halls earlier today. It's special up until quite recently, the top unlimited class aerobatic competition aircraft in the West. Not competition, private firefly of the Royal Navy historic flight. Lovely easy to the pits, the weather's clear beautifully. Single seater, some of them are two-seaters. Very good power to weight race here, so it's a good name, the Royal Navy. Started his design career working for the Shaw Brothers, building sequence engines from Berlin downwards. This the Firefly, operational. Australia, they come with a number of other British aircraft, military finance in Australia, about to be broken up. When he was out there, I think it was, and it was presented to the historic flight, and it's been flying very happily with it ever since.
Yeah, collecting time out. Yeah.
Coming up now to a rather more complex down to the front line and into a series of 2.5 inverted stick to the vertical row, mixture of outside brick there and an ordinary half row, 2 and 3 bricks. 2 points of a 4-point row to the inverted. Push up into an outside avalanche. Push up down to the vertical. Half row into the stall turn. Down and another roll out on the way down. That was a very well controlled launch down at 45 degrees and 3 rapid positive kick rolls. Down the stall turn. Down the stall turn and out. Roll on the way back. Alien rolls. Circuit height, more or less. That's the end of his performance, end of his display. And a very economic turn. Alan Wade flying the micro-lease pit special. Item on our program this evening. Sponsored by UEC Marconi. Towed by my companions up here on the roof. That concludes our flying display for this afternoon. For those of you who might be wondering madly what the music was, and out there somebody was going to tell you, it's from Delightus from the soundtrack by Vangelis. Put you out of your misery. Thank you very much for coming to watch us. Gliders about to come in and land. They pride themselves in sponge up on the grass.
Even the latter gliding craft has given those up.
They probably go 10 times as far. Well, yeah, Mach 10 or something. Incredibly fast. Film in which a Concorde type plane was outrunning a missile, which was really crazy.
Bravo, contact flight by coordinate,